The U.S. Supreme Court announcing it will decide whether Trump can remain on the 2024 primary ballot in Colorado. And across the nation, similar lawsuits are still pending in more than a dozen states attempting to remove Trump's name from the ballot. So here to react, former federal prosecutor and constitutional law attorney Katie Cherkasky. Katie, great to see you this morning. Let's talk about what the Supreme Court will be considering when it comes to these cases to remove him from the ballot. It's a section of the Constitution that bars someone who has helped foment an insurrection against the government from running for elected office. Does Trump apply?
Well, that's exactly the big question here. And it was inevitable that the Supreme Court was going to take up this case because this section of the Constitution has never been interpreted by the Supreme Court. And its applicability to the presidential office is actually one of the very big questions they have to answer first and foremost. Is this section even applicable to the office of the president? And secondarily, do states have individual authorities to try to remove a presidential candidate from the ballot? Even before you get to the question of did President Trump commit an insurrection as that term is defined under the law? So there's many questions that have to be addressed by the court here.
To be clear, is not a charge that he has faced. I mean, specifically insurrection. And this was a section of the Constitution that was originally tailored or designed or intended toward Confederates after the Civil War, right, who had fought against the federal government from running for then office in the federal government.
Well, that's exactly right. This section was applied or was enacted after the Civil War, so its use currently is unprecedented entirely. And so the court really does need to step in, and they've obviously expedited this case. They've ordered briefings to occur in a highly expeditious fashion because it is so important to clarify exactly what this applies to. Is this even the proper sort of situation for it to be analyzed and used against a candidate?
It's a dangerous game to predict the outcome of a Supreme Court decision, but there are many saying, look, this is a 9-0 type situation. This is so clear, the misapplication, for example, by Colorado. Do you share that view that this is a slam dunk case in favor of Trump before the Supreme Court?
I personally do share that view. I think that it would be important for the court to be unanimous in this decision. And I think even from a criminal justice or criminal defense perspective, the due process issues with states concluding without any sort of trial that somebody committed an insurrection without, a beyond a reasonable doubt standard is a significant issue here as well.
I may have said charged. I meant convicted, by the way. I mean, obviously, Trump hasn't been convicted of any of these charges, so you're removing him on the presumption of guilt when it comes to something like insurrection. By the way, a third and fourth batch of previously sealed documents regarding Jeffrey Epstein have been released. Here's the headline. Epstein allegedly invoked the Fifth Amendment 500 times during depositions, which are part of these releases. And he skirted questions about, for example, Bill Clinton. Ton of names, Katie. But we should be clear. I think it's important. If your name is associated with Jeffrey Epstein, I think we all leap to the idea that your name was somehow included in criminal activity. By the way, there is suggestions towards that with Bill Clinton. But a lot of these celebrity names, they're simply people that were asked, right? An attorney would have said to a witness, did you ever hear the name Leonardo DiCaprio? And if the witness goes no, your name's still attached in part of these releases.
Sure, I agree with that. And I think it is unfortunate that some people are going to be dragged into that sort of allegation. But I think a bigger question here is what were the conversations in the DOJ pertaining to charging or not charging some of these other people? Because there's a lot of smoke that kind of surrounds some of these names, but they're obviously not been charged. There's not anticipation that they will be. How were those decisions made? Was there just not enough evidence? Was there something else going on there? I think that's a really big question that people are going to want to have answers to at some point.
Yes. Now, to be clear, some of these names are alleged to have done some pretty egregious criminal activity, and why haven't they been charged, I think, leads to a bigger question of who is Jeffrey Epstein? What was the point of this entire enterprise? Maybe who did Jeffrey Epstein work for? Those are the more deep questions that we don't yet have the answer to.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right.